Brittany sold 5 more candy bars than Ashley. Tyler sold twice as many candy bars as Brittany. If there were 39 candy bars sold by Ashley, Brittany, and Tyler, which equation below would represent this relationship? So we got 3 different people that we're comparing, right? So we've got Ashley, and we've got Brittany, and we've got Tyler. All right, and the first thing that we're going to do is write down what we know about each person. Okay. So, first, and it says that Brittany sold 5 more candy bars than Ashley. Do we know how many Ashley sold? No. So what should I put by Ashley's name? Ashley's name. We don't know, right? So what do we put when we don't know? A variable. So I'm going to put A for Ashley. Brittany, however, sold 5 more than Ashley. So what should I put by Brittany's name? Right. And we don't know plus 5 to what, so just that variable and 5 more. Right. Okay. And then we got Tyler. Tyler sold twice as many candy bars as Brittany. So what does twice mean I'm doing? Multiplying by 2. And what did we say Brittany was? What did we write by Brittany? A plus 5. So for Tyler, it should be 2 times A plus 5, right? So now I've got to simplify what this is, right? So what is 2 times A? And 2 times 5 plus 10. Now that I have what every single person's information is, I can combine like terms to come up with my real equation, right? Okay, so if I'm combining like terms, we're going to take care of our variables first. How many A's did Ashley have? 1. How many did Brittany have?
1.
So that's 2 together so far, right? And then how many here? 2 more, so all together we have 4A. Good. All right, now I'm going to go back and look for constants. Any constants by Ashley's name? No. Brittany had 5 and Tyler had, so all together. And in total there was how many candy bars? So I should put this as equal to, there we go. So we didn't actually have to solve on this one, they just wanted us to set it up. So if they give you information from multiple people, we got to make sure we break all that down before we try and set up the equation. All right? Okay. So, doing a little more practice of some of the things we were doing last week, only difference in these equations are that there are going to be letters on both sides of the equal sign. But we know whenever we solve an equation, we need all the letters together and then all the constants on the other side. Right? So on number 1, what would you guys do first? Subtract 2K, good. Alright, so 6K minus 2K would leave us with, so we got 4K minus 3 equals 13. Very good. And 13 plus 3 is going to give us, and what would my last step be? 5 by 4. So what is K? Very good. All right. What about on number 2? What should we do first there? Add, okay. 0.2p to both sides. So those will cross out, and I'll have 8 equals, what is 0.4p plus 0.2p? Right? Minus 10. Right. I'm going to add 10 to the other side so I can get that variable all by itself. And 8 plus 10 leaves us with, so 18 is equal to 0.6p. Now what would our last step be? Right. So what is p? Good. So remember, we just need to move all the letters together, just like in the past we've moved all the numbers that are constants without letters together. Okay. Okay, number 3. This one's going to have an extra step to it. What does it look like we should do first on number 3? Right, we got to combine any like terms that are already on the same side of the equal sign. Do we have anything that's the same over here on the left? What's the same on the right? Right, so I'm going to have to put those two things together because they're like terms. So I'm not going to touch the left side just yet. Leave it as 8c plus 1. But I am going to combine these two like terms. So what is 7c minus 2c? 5c, so we have 5c minus 4c. Okay? Alright, so now that we've combined all of our like terms, what should we do now? Okay. And 8c minus 5c is going to leave us with, so we got 3c plus 1 equals negative 14. Subtract what? Okay. So 3c equals? Negative 15. Very good. Okay. All right, then what should we do? 5 by 3. Very good. Nice. Okay. Looks like number 4 is going to have another step we need to recall. What? Distribute. Very good. What am I distributing into the parentheses? Negative 7. Right? That negative goes with the 7. So I'm going to bring down my 5, but I'm going to distribute negative 7. So what is negative 7 times t? Very good. And negative 7 times times positive 1. Very good. Equals, we've got negative 10t plus 3 over here on the other side. Okay, so before I start moving things to other sides of the equation, what should I look for? Like terms. Do we have any? What do we got? Right, these are on the same side of the equal sign and they are like terms. So I have negative 7t and then what? Minus 2. Nice. Equals negative 10t plus 3. Okay? So now we've combined all of our like terms. What should I do now? Okay, add 17. We also could have added 10t, right? Either direction would work. So I got negative 2 equals, what is negative 10t plus 17? Good. Plus 3. All right, now what should we do? Okay. All right, and then I've got negative 2 minus 3. Okay. So negative 5 is equal to negative 3t. 5 by negative 3. Is negative 5 divisible by negative 3? No, right, it's going to give us a decimal. Right. So we can leave this as a fraction. If you've noticed the last few times on the homework, it usually has your answer written as a fraction. So my answer would just be t is equal to 5 over 3. Or if you convert that to a decimal, it's going to be one that's a repeating one, right? So you would have to round. And it does become positive, right? Because 2 negatives make it positive. Okay, good job. All right, let's flip it over on the back and look at a couple there. Okay, number 5. Does anybody remember what we're supposed to do when we have two fractions like this? Cross multiply, very good. So if I am multiplying these two, I have 6 times m plus 5. Remember, that means I'm going to put the m plus 5 inside, m plus 15 inside of parentheses, right? Because I'm multiplying the whole thing by 6. All right, and when we multiply the other direction, I'm going to have 3 times m plus 9, right? Okay, so before we can start moving stuff side to side, what are we going to have to do here? Very good. So I got 6 times m. Good. And then I also have 6 times 15, which is good. Is equal to 3 times m. Good. Plus, nice. Okay, what should we do now? Okay, so is there anything that's the same over here on the left? On the left, there's another m. Is there anything, any like terms to combine? Okay, so since we don't have any, then we start moving stuff from left to right. Okay, so I want all the m's together, so what are we going to move? Okay. And 6m minus 3m will leave us with, good. So I got 3m plus 90 equals 27. Okay. And what do we get when we subtract? All right, and then what's our last step? Go ahead, very good. So what is m? Negative 21. Very good. Okay. So again, on number 6, what are we going to have to do? Cross multiply. So if I multiply this direction, how am I going to write that? -1. Very good. Make sure we put those parentheses, right? Because we got to multiply everything times the -1. All right, what's the other direction going to look like? Very good. All right. So now we have to, very good. So what is -1 times d? Very good. And -1 times -1, nice. Equals 3 times d. And then 3 times 2 is 6. Good. All right, now let's okay. So 1 is equal to, nice. And then, good. So what do we end up with? Good. Last step is to so is that going to be divisible by 4? We get a decimal, right? So remember that we can always leave it as a fraction because usually on our worksheets it leaves it as a fraction. However, we can always convert back and forth in our calculators. So would this stay negative or would it become a positive? Negative. It stays negative because we only got one negative. Very good. So -5/4 equals d. Good job. All right, last one. We got a word problem, so we're going to have to set up the equation and then solve. Okay. Number 7 says that Rachel and Amanda are planting tulip bulbs. Rachel has planted 45 bulbs and is planting at a rate of 30 bulbs per hour. Amanda is planting at a rate of 36 bulbs per hour and has planted 27 bulbs. How long will it take Rachel and Amanda to plant the same number of bulbs? How many bulbs will that be? So, if we want them to be the same, we are basically saying we want to do what in the equation? Yes, very good. So, same means we want to set them equal to each other. Very good. So, once we plug everything in, our end goal here is to have Rachel equal to Amanda. Alright, now we have to plug in the information they gave us to make that into some equation, right? Okay, so let's start with Rachel. Rachel has planted 45 bulbs. So 45 bulbs, and what does that and mean? Add, good. So we got 45, and she is planting at a rate of 30 bulbs per hour. Right, 30, whatever variable we want to put, right? Maybe H per hour. All right, so we got Rachel taken care of. Now we got to write something for Amanda. Okay, so we would read that Amanda is planting at a rate of 36 bulbs per hour. How would I write that? 36 H, because it's per hour. And she has already planted 27. Plus 27. That word and does mean plus. Okay, so now that we have the equation written, we can solve. Remember, if it says per hour, that's the one that the variable is going to go with. Okay? All right, so what should we do first? What's our first step to solve? Okay. I'm going to subtract 30H from both sides, which is going to leave us with 45 is equal to, nice, subtract 27. What is 45 minus 27? Good. So we got 18 equals 6H. 6. 3. Good. So these two things will only be equal to each other. Rachel only equals Amanda when H is 3. And what is H representing? Hours, right. So that's what they asked, right? How many, or how long will it take, right? So that's where this comes from. It's going to take 3 hours. So there's our first answer. Okay. Then they also said, how many bulbs will that be? So what should I do with that 3? Right, I'm going to plug it in. So for Rachel, that would be 45 plus 30 times 3. I had to replace the H with 3. So what is 30 times 3? 90. And what is 90 plus 45? 135. Right? You also could have plugged that in on Amanda's side. Okay, Amanda was 36 times 3 plus 27. Right, and what is 36 times 3? Okay, plus the 27 gives us, which makes sense, right? Because we said we wanted them to be the same, right? So at that point, they will have each planted 135 bulbs. So there's our second answer that they had asked us to find.